if I can just offer my own personal opinion, it's a bit of criticism, but it's not coming from a negative place. And you may disagree with it, and your chat will definitely disagree with it. But it's that. So when the alt-right was first starting, because I was aware of you for a while, I used to I love listening to the discussions about Kubrick and stuff, and of course the interviews with Jonathan Boughton. Yeah, but at the very beginning of it, it looked like something that I had been waiting for, because my firm belief is the message has to be innately white, not exclusively white. And through that means you gain the mass of the white people through that means. So there was a point in time where you started like hanging out with these shit tier tabloid white nationalist sites. And then I my own opinion, right? I know a lot of people love these sites, whatever. And this is when the alt-right thing, all this started splitting, because that's when the media started hammering you on this. And I really thought like this was forming to be a new right. Because if we get everyone under the same tent and they can see like they don't have these images of what they've been taught about what quote unquote racists are. When you speak race realism from an equal level of discussion, you can't deny it. You can't. So the conversations were there to be had, but it got muddied because all of a sudden it got attached to this stuff that has failed since Rockwell's time and continues to fail, but it got attached to it. And I really thought that took the steam out of it. I really thought like for whatever couple of months before all this happened, I was like, this is it. This is fucking happening right now. And then boom, it went down, and then everyone split and everyone's pointing fingers at each other. And then it's just, I don't know. It was disheartening for me. So that was my personal opinion. That's how I looked at it. It's just, you know, I don't know. What would you think about that? Would you think that criticism is wrong? Is it misguided?
No, I think it's largely correct. I mean, it's an interesting situation because, you know, first off, the media wants to inherently connect us with the swastika, or something like that. So it's basically kind of hard, effectively impossible to avoid that. Like if you are making some kind of impact, they are going to connect you with that. And they'll even do this to Tulsi Gabbard. I have no doubt that she will be connected with like Assad's fascism and all this kind of stuff. So, in terms of the slander, I would say that my general strategy was to just kind of not counter signal the, fans of the Daily Stormer and things like that, and just kind of ride it out while putting forth my message. And I think basically what I've noticed is that a lot of people who are really attracted to the kind of shit tier stuff, they're kind of not good people. And it's just like they never liked me. They hated me up until 2016, and they liked me for 3 months, and they started hating me again. And I just think at some level, like the image that I put forward is a very good one obviously in my opinion. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous to say, I think that I'm right. But I don't know if there's a way to totally avoid it, but I think obviously like everyone can be better. But I do think that we had this problem in the sense that the alt-right just totally resist hierarchy. It has this will to infight. It has this will to just get into these just insane tangents, like white Sharia or whatever. And it's hard to have a megaphone or a message that's bigger than those things. And so it's like we can get dragged down by it. And I think your criticisms are accurate. And so there's a way of doing it where you're not cucking. And it is funny because there was this, basic ethic that was a kind of TRS ethic of just never cuck. Like you can never denounce anyone. And then TRS flipped and they were like, oh yeah, actually, we're actually American patriots or whatever. And so we're going to we're going to go down that line. And I think it was almost like the worst of both of those things are wrong. I think we do have to like draw a line, and I think we do just have to stop listening to some of these people the weave types or whatever. These are not. I think in particular with the character I just mentioned, I don't think he has good motivations, and so these we can't tolerate people who have bad motivations. But at the same time, the people who are just think that they can, denounce me and yet agree with me, but denounce me and that they're going to win or something. These people as well are just are kind of equally toxic. They're toxic in their own way. And so I just think it's this like third path that is so difficult to get right. But it is something that we need to be striving for. I just don't think a lot of people are striving for that third path where, it's like, we're going to be shocking. We are going to rub some people the wrong way. We are going to say things that are bold and, outlandish at some level. But it has to be to furthering a positive end, and it has to be to something that inspires people. Just nasty, negative stuff, putting women in cages, white Sharia, all that stuff. If you are a good person at some level, you just are massively turned off by that stuff. And we just need to, it's just so hard. But I do think there needs to be a more, hierarchical, established organization that can just start finding that third path, which is so tricky. And it really is a matter of taste at some level. Mm-hmm. It's a matter of, it's because the ideas, it's about getting the ideas right. And I think that's very important. And that's where we need intellectuals. But then it's also about just charting that right course and knowing that you're going to get it's almost inevitable that Rachel Maddow is going to call you Hitler. You just have to accept that. You also kind of have to accept that there's going to be some loon in your ranks that does something bad. But I also think that some of this stuff has been a bit overrated. I mean, it's like if you look at the majority of people who came to Charlottesville, like a ton of really good people came to Charlottesville. And that's just a fact. And there is, no question, bad apples. I mean, the whole, the other side, Antifa is 100% bad apples. But it's, I don't know. I don't have a solid answer outside of, I think we need to start when we return to the public realm. We have to return with a real message and an agenda. And it can't just be like memes in real life. I think that was another thing that you saw. It was like internet memes in real life. And at some point that does not work. And the kind of shocking, gas chamber meme on Twitter, that's just never going to work. That stuff does not interest me at all. It was, kind of maybe we tolerated it as amusing in 2016. We just need to move past that. But again, finding that right way is just very difficult. It is a matter of taste at some level. But then also, I don't think that we should go out into the world unless we really have an agenda and a message and a real entity that is saying that if we get it, this is a long shot for us to take power. We get it. But if we were in power, this is what we would do directly. And also, these are our higher ideals. So this isn't, we're not like the Republican Club or whatever. No, we have higher ideals as well. But this is what we will do for you directly if we were able to be in power.
I have a question for you. Since you were so intertwined with the alt-right, I'd love to hear your opinion on this. Always a pet peeve of mine has always been like a lot of the figureheads, and I call them figureheads as people who have large in our circle, Twitter followers or YouTube subscribers.
Sure.
It has been like this brand of insult comics, essentially, right? There's been a lot of these kind of people on the alt-right. How do you think this came to fruition? And what is your view on that? Because my own personal one is every time these provocateur types, these insult comic types, either get doxxed or real life comes down on them, there's always the excuse of, I'm just making jokes and all of this. And from my perspective, and me too, it's not a joke. My children are growing up in this world. There's nothing fucking funny about it. And I find the same kind of behavior of people that like to laugh at other people's misery. you got bad character people. You can't go to decent people and go, hey, check this out. They're laughing at this girl that died. Haha, ain't that funny? They're not going to find that funny, man. And you're going to push people away. So like, how did this dynamic happen? How did like the insult comic brand and the provocateur take off in that scene?
I think the Daily Stormer and TRS basically, because these ideas were so shocking to them, that they resisted them for a while, and then they just kind of went all in. And and so they were like, yeah, you want to call us a Nazi? Yeah, okay, yeah, we are, kind of thing. And I get that. I think it can be kind of, it's superficially liberating, but it's ultimately not going to work in the long run. And the thing about it is, like, someone like Gavin McInnes was doing the same thing. Actually, it was, I'm the baddest badass there is. I'll say anything. I am just totally out of control. I mean, he was just saying this. We're a gang, a violent gang, and I'm the craziest of them all, kind of thing. And then again, when reality came crashing down on him, it was, oh, I'm actually a comedian, and this is all a joke. And so again, that is radically demoralizing, because then it's just like, well, what are you doing then? Like, everyone tells jokes. We've told jokes on this program. I've told jokes. I think it's great to be funny, but I would never say that stuff that I have put forward in public is a joke or something. Like, oh, I can't believe you took that seriously. That ethno state talk. I can't believe you took me seriously. Why don't we do this? Why don't you make the case for? Let's go right to maybe an area of disagreement. Why don't you make the case? I guess you kind of have with populism.
Yeah, cultural, yeah, exactly.
It seems like, at least for what I'm hearing, is you don't deny the reality of race, say scientifically or biologically,
culturally as well,
right? Or culturally as well. But in some ways, like that it can't just be pure race politics. There has to be, you have to be able to present it to a non-white and say, oh, actually, you're going to benefit from this as well.
There's that aspect of it, but that's usually, people go right to that when they say, oh, you're not a white nationalist, so you're just cucking for the based blacks. It's like, well, it's not about me looking like, how can I get the non-whites to listen to what we're talking about? It's how can we get the majority of whites to listen to what we're talking about?
Right.
And when we come race first, it never works. It doesn't matter what race in this country. When you come race first, it's like the people that run on the Jewish question. That's all they run on. Look, it's the Jews. Look, it's the Jews. It's been done over and over and over again. It's failed over and over and over again. So when I look at these things, when I see where our country is going, and I see what happened like in South Africa, like they had a white nationalist group there too. And just like Charlottesville, when I watch Charlottesville, I see a bunch of white police officers shoving you guys with their shields. Same thing in South Africa, right? They will always do their job and all of this. So to get across to these people that it's something that benefits everybody, and look, it's culturally inherently white, because most people agree with this. Most white people agree with this, that they understand this, but they're not willing to say, I want to kick out or kill everyone that doesn't look like me. They're not willing to go down that road. That's not a reality. So populism is that way. It's to me, it's not cucking at all. It's speaking on our culture of this country and saying that, yes, it would. A third position would benefit anyone that contributes to society, and that people think we would lose our culture. If you remove the forces that have been brainwashing us since we've come out of the cradle, are you really afraid of competition? Are you really afraid of merit and where you'll stand in that kind of society? I'm not in the least bit. And I'm not afraid for my children either, any of that. So my mentality is that we have to do it populism, because what do we have to take over? A government that can use police and military against us anytime they want. We have to get a police and military not willing to do that because they sympathize with us. We need to get everyone out of Congress. Not one person can win as president. And we're seeing it, right, with Trump. And even with Ron Paul, it was all by Ron Paul friends were going nuts. I'm like, who cares if he wins? He can't do anything. It's the same thing. We need to get a mass of people like that to support evicting everyone, maybe even putting them on trial from Congress and from the Senate, and as well, not having the military or the police shut you down. And the only way that's ever happened in history is through populist movements. And we can't get a populist movement through extreme individualistic or minute segments of the population pushing an ideology. We have to get the people behind us. And if you can get 80% of the whites to support that, and you're going to get 20% of non-whites that say, hey, you know what, I can live in this society, and we can not kill each other through bullets or sperm in this society, and kind of a Roman imperialism kind of base sense. And this is a workable, and I think the best for America, because my personal opinion, the real fight, the real threat is Europe. We survived the fall of Greece. We survived the fall of Rome. We will not survive the fall of Europe. So I feel if America frees itself from this international finance shackle and stops being the spearhead of globalism, we can free Europe up to free itself. And to me, that's even the bigger long-term game, is to have that, because we want this diverse European race on this planet 1,000 years from now. And not just because we're biologically related to this, but because we know the potential of that Faustian ideal that will take us to new heights of understanding and existence. And we know that comes from the birth of the creativity of the European man. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with saying that. There's nothing wrong with a non-European acknowledging that at all. So my position is that is only through populism we can give a real fight to this system. And the only way we can get that is inherently white, not exclusively white. I think the other way has failed so many times. And like you just stated, for whatever reason, it attracts, I know for what reasons. I have my, like I said, I used to be a believer into it till I thought my way out of it, but it attracts a lot of fucking shit tier people. And I think it's because there's this racial egalitarianism in the belief where it's like, if you're white, you're automatically above everyone. So even, the lowest of the white can say, hey, well, look, I'm born white, I'm above this. And this is even stuff David Lane complained about, right? So it's just been the same old mistakes and circle being repeated. And I'm just trying to say, well, we've seen it work. We've seen Trumpism work. We've even seen the Republican Party work. So if we can take that general theme of innately white, not exclusively white, I think it makes a world of difference. And so that's where I've come to at my life.